The beauty of Bitcoin lies in its accessibility. If you wanted to buy $30 worth of gold today with gold priced at around $2,504 per ounce, purchasing a tenth of an ounce would just be $2,504 divided by 10, i.e. would cost significantly more. This is because of the manufacturing involved. Breaking down a large bar of gold into smaller pieces like 1/10 of an ounce incurs additional costs. For instance, instead of $250, you likely pay an additional 30% on top of that due to the complexities of manufacturing and stamping smaller gold pieces. Gold requires physical refinement and manufacturing, which adds costs as the quantity gets smaller. Think about it. A large block of gold is easier to manage than melting it down and dividing it into tiny, precisely measured portions. Each smaller piece requires more effort to create, which drives up the price. Bitcoin, on the other hand, doesn't have this issue. If you want to buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin, it will cost you the same proportionate amount as buying 1,000 Bitcoins. There is no price premium for smaller amounts, unlike gold, which has to be physically manufactured and divided.
The beauty of Bitcoin lies in its accessibility and efficiency, especially when compared to traditional assets like gold. Let's say you wanted to buy $30 worth of gold today, with gold priced at around $2,504 per ounce. You might think purchasing 1/10 of an ounce would simply be $2,504 divided by 10, but in reality, it would cost significantly more. Why? Because of the manufacturing and refining processes involved in breaking down large gold bars into smaller, consumer-friendly pieces. For example, instead of paying $250 for a tenth of an ounce, you'd likely end up paying an additional 30% due to these extra costs. The process of dividing gold into smaller pieces requires physical effort and precision. Imagine a large bar of gold. It's relatively simple to melt and stamp it as one unit. But breaking it down into smaller portions, like 1/10 or even 1/100th of an ounce, requires more time, resources, and effort. Each of these smaller pieces must be individually handled and stamped, which adds to the cost. As a result, buying a tiny piece of gold involves paying a premium, making it less efficient for small-scale transactions. Bitcoin, on the other hand, doesn't have this problem. If you want to buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin, it will cost you exactly the same proportionate amount as buying 1,000 Bitcoins. Bitcoin's digital nature allows it to be infinitely divisible without any additional manufacturing or handling costs. Whether you're purchasing $100, $50, or just $10 worth, there's no extra premium for smaller amounts. This is one of the key advantages of Bitcoin over physical assets like gold. It remains equally efficient and accessible regardless of how much or how little you buy. Bitcoin's ability to facilitate microtransactions without additional costs makes it particularly valuable in everyday use, whether it's for peer-to-peer payments, online purchases, or even sharing small amounts in consumer transactions. This efficiency and ease of use are central to Bitcoin's appeal in a world where convenience and flexibility are becoming increasingly important.
Subscribe our channel and press the bell button to get our video notification. And like the video.
The government has millions of dollars to ask questions, and when they start questioning small businesses, it seems like the questions never end. There's no clear metric or goal, no sense of what are we trying to achieve here. Or when will this stop for me? True freedom is the ability to say no, but also the ability to say yes. Freedom means being able to make choices without constantly worrying about the financial consequences. For example, I want to be able to decide on a whim to travel to the Bahamas or anywhere else without stressing about the cost. That's true freedom. Or when I see a shirt I like, I don't want to hesitate and ask, how much does this cost? I want the freedom to say, I love that shirt. I want it. and buy it without second guessing. Of course, if it's $1,000, I might not buy it, but the ability to make those decisions without being constrained by money is a form of freedom. I've been broke and miserable, and I've been rich and miserable. Surprisingly, being rich and miserable can be more challenging than being broke, but given the choice, I'd rather be rich and miserable. At least then I am not sitting around wondering if money is the source of my problems.
The government has millions of dollars to ask questions, and when they start questioning small businesses, it feels like the questions never end. There's no clear metric or goal, no sense of, what are we trying to achieve here? Or when does this stop for me? Freedom is the ability to say no, but also the ability to say yes. True freedom is about making choices without constantly being tied down by financial worries or government interference. For example, I want the freedom to decide on a whim to travel to the Bahamas, or wherever I feel like going, without worrying about the cost. That asks what freedom looks like in being able to make those decisions without hesitation. Or when I see a shirt I really like, I want to stand there and ask, how much does this cost? I want to be able to say, I love that shirt, ILL take it, without needing to second guess myself. Of course, if it ES $1,000, I might not buy it up. But the freedom to make that choice without money being the main concern is what matters. I've experienced both sides. I've been broke and miserable, and I've been rich and miserable. Surprisingly, being rich and miserable can be even more challenging because you have everything you need, but still feel that discontent. However, given the choice, I'd rather be rich and miserable. At least with wealth, you're not sitting around wondering if money is the source of your problems. When you have financial security, it gives you clarity about what truly matters in life. Wealth allows you the freedom to focus on other things like your passions, relationships, or personal growth without constantly being weighed down by financial constraints. It has about having the freedom to make decisions on your own terms, to say yes or no as you please, and to live life with fewer limitations. Ultimately, that asks the kind of freedom wealth can provide a life where you aren't constantly questioning if you can afford to do what makes you happy.
We recently attended Money 20/20 and the Bitcoin conference, and it's clear that things are shifting. The Bitcoin conference especially is where the major players, the whales, gather. It's not the typical crowd. This is where the big decisions and trends are discussed. Looking at the industry, what worked 4, 5, or 6 years ago simply won't cut it anymore. For instance, subscription payments at a fixed rate forever are becoming obsolete. Similarly, the days of oligopolies and monopolies overcharging for services are numbered. Take Apple's new feature, for example, where you can send money just by tapping phones. This peer-to-peer system is a game changer. If I were at Visa or MasterCard, I'd be worried that this technology is revolutionary. Visa and MasterCard actually paid Apple to go away for a decade, thinking they could just sideline them. But Apple's entry into the payment space is significant, and the real threat is when other major players follow suit. Once one company adopts a new payment method, the others usually follow, creating a massive shift in how transactions are handled.
We recently had the opportunity to attend Money 20/20 and the Bitcoin conference, and the experience was eye-opening. The Bitcoin conference, in particular, is where the heavyweights, those major players in the industry, come together. This isn't just any conference, it's where significant discussions and decisions about the future of Bitcoin and the broader financial landscape happen. Reflecting on the current state of the industry, it's evident that strategies that worked 4, 5, or even 6 years ago are becoming obsolete. For example, subscription models with fixed payments are fading out. The old systems of oligopolies and monopolies overcharging for services are also being challenged. A prime example of this shift is Apple's new feature, which allows users to send money just by tapping their phones together. This peer-to-peer payment technology is revolutionary. If I were in the shoes of Visa or MasterCard, I'd be seriously concerned about this development. Apple's move into payments is significant, and the real game changer will be when other major players adopt similar technologies. Visa and MasterCard actually tried to sideline Apple by paying them off to stay out of the payment space for 10 years. However, the introduction of Apple Pay shows just how transformative this technology can be. The impact of these digital payment innovations is huge. Personally, I prefer using digital methods for transactions, and if banks allow me to move large amounts of money without any fees, that is even better. Even if the payment method is NFT Bitcoin, digital solutions like Zelle or Venmo are highly efficient and meet my needs. The traditional banking system, with its outdated processes and fees, is clearly struggling to keep up with these advancements. The digital revolution is accelerating, and traditional financial institutions are scrambling to adapt to this new, faster-paced environment.
Subscribe our channel and press the bell button to get our video notification. And like the video.